Welcome back. Race 8, round 4, and the second time around Maggiore, and we are surprisingly one lap less. 18 laps of action in race 1 was considered too long given how the shortened variant is. We're away already. Webber, rear-wheel drive off the bat. That's what it should look like from BMW's perspective as he goes into turn 1 in the lead. Christian Shepherd alongside me, Nico Wirtz in second place there. We kind of expected that with the rear-wheel drive car off the line, didn't we?
We did, especially see what happened to Suarez. It could well be a VW problem. Maybe there's something to do with the way the gears are set up at the start there.
And speaking of Swinnerton in a top 10 position, in a top 5 position, he's aiming for one right now.
Butcher, with the way he was performing in the previous race, he's much further up the grid as well. There's always a possibility that he might get a podium, another podium place. Oh, no, another podium. Unfortunately, Suarez had taken that from him.
That was a shame. It didn't seem like it was on, given that they were so far ahead.
3 wide.
Yeah, that is definitely 3 wide. We'll see that going into the sweepers now. Suarez falling back from his 3rd place, therefore 8th place.
Still very much ahead. 3 wide there.
As you well know, it is the top 10 reversed. That's why we saw completely different front row, and therefore the Alpha seems to have fallen back as well. Well, no, I suppose Wittmann still kept their 10th place off the start. Fisichella getting one over Suarez, just like race 1. And across the line, Webber obviously taking the standing lap time of 1:33.5. In all that excitement, Christian's accidentally choked on a piece of sushi, but let's see what happens into lap 2.
That's some funny storytelling there. I just had a simple cough. There's no sushi inside.
The in-jokes behind the scenes here will go over everyone's head, but speaking of going over everyone's head, Swinnerton now in 6th. Starting to fall back a bit, considering that mammoth start he had. Was up into the top 5, but of course we are seeing a reflection of race 1 where very good through the faster turns, but the top speed and the hairpins are letting him down somewhat compared to everybody else. And there's Butcher almost rear-ended him. Fisichella 8th on board with the Italian.
Suarez has got back ahead of Wittmann. Wittmann originally had 9th there for a few corners.
So Webber still leads after the second lap is about to be completed. I wonder if it, well, let's see what his lap is like. Only perhaps 100ths off the first lap, considering this. Actually, I was about.
Just the same thing with race 1. Didn't bring it up, but Swin does seem to take a very different line going down the straight there. Goes over immediately to the outside, with the rest are slowly pulling over to the side.
I think he's trying to make do with that heavier car. I mean, we kind of know why ourselves, but it's when you see it on the straights how heavy that thing is when in its top speed form compared to everyone else. It's almost like he kind of has to be in that position either to allow the room or to allow himself to get the overtake done. And we saw it with great success in the closing laps of race 1. Not so much here as Butcher down the inside, switch back for Swinnerton. It's going to be close going into the sweepers.
These two didn't have much of a race earlier in the first race as Butcher had overtaken him seemingly with better tyres. At the moment, doesn't seem like he lifts or brakes. That's when he's all over the back. Sorry, Swinnerton is all over the back. Butcher again.
We try to keep it formal. Everyone does refer to him in the paddock as Swin, and even the caption seems to have given us that suggestion as well. But it is Swinnerton in that Mazda, now trying to fight back that 6th place from Butcher, but the power of the Toyota engine in that Crown 4-door which is kind of unique considering the hatchback status of everyone else's appearance. Give or take an Alpha here or there, and the BMW. Still some variety in touring cars. Not all of them have to be hatchbacks. But you're now closing in on Aiello. I wonder if that Toyota engine's got the advantage over
No,
the
I think it
Renault.
doesn't have the same top speed as the Ford or the Renault, but definitely seems to have it on the exit of the corners. Seems to where they seem to catch up the front wheel drives a lot. It's certainly in terms of sort of outright pace, and it drifts off as the straights get longer. As we saw at Barcelona, they were very quick coming out of the last corner, but just couldn't do anything about the long straight.
So, reflections on race 1 already. Swinnerton hovering around the same position as we see him in right now. Thompson already up to 4th. We've got the other Volkswagen in the top 3. But out front,
It was pushing him through the
BMW.
corner, maybe says.
Everyone seems to like that apex and wants to keep it.
Absolutely.
It is worth mentioning what kept the consistency and the competitiveness of the Toyota is that they have been allowed an extra gearbox. Sorry, an extra gear, not an extra gearbox, an extra gear. Having an extra gearbox would definitely help, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
The jet lag.
14
the jet lag.
Oh, the jet lag. Well, we tell you to sleep before you get on the plane.
It wasn't me yawning, officer.
That's why you're going to quickly run back to your hotel room at the end of this. Ford's not performing as well as they'd probably like to. We do have one towards the front currently at the moment, but the manufacturers are very, very far down to what they're probably used to, especially Palou.
And we still see those Fords close together, but of course there are some other focuses further up, the second generation, or the previous generation rather, are fighting for a more midfield position than this. In fact, they're so far ahead that we can't see them in the same shot. I mean, there's one behind, yes, obviously. We just saw that in the background. That was Biffle in last.
Yeah, Kobayashi's dropped all the way down to 19th there as well. Considering he was having a very good race 1.
And there's the other one, Wickens top 3. Very pleased with his performance in race 1. He'll be even happier with where he is right now.
Just to keep an eye on the lap times there. A couple of 29s, dropped off to a 32.
Tyre management.
The tyres are already going, yeah. Certainly looks that way.
And of course, no one in front of him to get a slipstream off if Nico Wirtz is getting the slipstream off Webber as they go into the sweepers. On board, Butcher, Toyota. With happy news that his sister is going to be a co-driver for one of the WRC competitors. As he's got Thompson lifting off there, and they've thrown it down. About to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, it just seems like he got a bit scared about being behind Aiello there through the sweepers. At the end of the sweepers, I should say. Seemingly backed off. Yes, but he's going for that outside line again.
It's acting defensively, but the power of the other cars are going to just take full advantage of the racing line there. Let's see what Fisichella does going into turn 1 again. You could see him just push what looked like Wittmann out of the way. So they are having a right old battle behind Swinnerton. They haven't clawed their way up.
Wittmann's passed
the reverse
Fisichella.
grid.
Wittmann's grabbed 8th place.
Certainly has, but here's Suarez down the inside, and also Ide in the other Toyota.
Oh, he's not going to enjoy having Suarez on the inside there coming into this corner as well. Oh, slightly moves him over as well in that.
Bit of a warning shot, a metaphorical warning shot, I suppose.
Suarez.
Suarez.
Oh,
yeah.
That was a Pima going off there.
We saw Schneider go off lap 1, race 1, and he's now outside of the points. It's going to be hard to tell if they'll, back at base, be still happy with their overall performance, despite being still out in front, fending off another one of their rivals, German manufacturing rivals in Volkswagen, right behind them in the defending champion Hertz. Butcher up to 4th, but Wickens with the full power.
Yeah, that Ford's going to drag him past, I suppose, going into turn 1.
Thompson playing close attention. Ready to pout now.
Still there.
Very generously sort of lifted off. Not that he needed to. So Butcher's now definitely got the 4th for this battle. But obviously we're almost halfway again.
Oh, Butcher's already opening the gap. It's only been 2 corners. He's really got the bit between the teeth here.
And once again, despite a couple of stragglers, that peloton, that crocodile, is still very close halfway through. Some great entertainment for the locals here. Even if they aren't getting their way this race around, they did expect the reverse grid, of course they did. But perhaps they expected these alphas to be a little bit further up halfway through. It looks like the others have managed to sort of fend them off enough that perhaps it has shocked them into some level of submission.
Well, it's quite a gaggle now for rear-wheel drive cars there, and the front-wheel drives, as we've seen with their lap times, are definitely falling off.
Hugging the apex in front of Swinnerton there. Perhaps Swinnerton will be ruining his move around the outside that time around.
Here comes Whitman.
Down the inside, and 7th place for a fraction. And now perhaps for a little bit more on the exit of the second turn. Turn 3, job done. So
not yet.
Down the inside of Caviglia goes Swinnerton to just
a little bit of contact.
Stick the landing. Oh, he did not stick the landing there, never mind. So Webber still in the lead. This swarm in second, headed by Nico Wirtz. Now he seems to have lifted off, so he's managing his tyres now for the end of the race, perhaps.
Look where Butcher is, definitely staring down the back of second place here.
Aiello and Wirtz. The rear-wheel drive catch-up, as we predicted in race 1. It's beginning to take
fastest. 28.
Still has. That is his second lap. That has stayed where it is. No one else has gone close yet.
Not that far ahead though, considering that the lap times.
Aiello's lap there fastest is at 29.6. Let's see what happens this time with the slipstream off Wirtz. Nope. All the action earlier has held him back by nearly a whole second. That time around, Wirtz fending off Aiello through the second turn. Butcher sort of taking a step back, looking at the calculations in front of him, and I don't think he's going to make a move considering he just went wide at Caviglia there. But you can see the top 4 in shot, the top 7 now. And then everybody else with Ide down the inside of Swinnerton.
Yeah, Fisichella's dropped himself back down to 10th now. Been passed by Ide, who's now challenging Swin for, I believe, 8th place.
I can't say it's...
Oh,
hello,
that's
Ide.
Naughty. Oh,
With,
that's
well,
naughty,
a lot
Ide.
of smoke there, a lot of smoke. I wonder... Oh, there we go. I was expecting that to still be a permanent bit of damage for Swinnerton, but E-Day is... Oh, hello.
Oh, that was
And that's it.
silly. Oh, got a bit of rush of blood to the head there from
Yellow
Swin,
flags
unfortunately.
out there. We'll see what race control does about that. Are they going to pull out any level of safety measure there? As E-Day now has this particular sort of diameter around him of clean air. But I think that's going to be closed up soon. And it's going to be such a shame to see Swinnerton at the back of the pack. Despite all the efforts of race one, despite the efforts of the first half of the race, words are going to be had, no doubt, friendly or not. Something has to come of that, obviously. We'll have to see when we see what news we can present to you when we get to Blue Moon Bay about that after the end of this race. Butcher still fourth. Vert's now ahead of Webber. We've missed that.
Yeah, we missed that, yeah.
We've missed that in all the action that we saw in the midfield on the previous lap. So it's perhaps questionable that, well, not questionable, but to throw the question out there that perhaps that's Webber's tyre management, or have the tyres given up the ghost for the win? Where Vert's now, unless I am going to be very much mistaken, and I'm hoping I do get the wrong answer on this, that Wirt is going to get his second win off the back of just what we've just missed, in that he's get the lead out of Webber's fantastic start to this second race. ILO wide, Butchered on the inside. Now that's the podium there, but then it's going to be side by side.
Yeah.
Toyota versus Renault Power.
Oh, look at the top speed of these hatchbacks. Can he hang around the outside, the Butcher, like he has done with a few drivers today, and certainly does. Can he hold on to it now? Well, it certainly looks to be the case. That's Aiello down to fourth place.
This balancing act that the governing body has attempted, we've seen some cracking motor racing. We've seen a variety of winners, and
Well,
that
not
particular battle. Yeah, certainly. This battle and the battle for third and fourth has kind of exemplified what's going to be seen for the remainder of the season, perhaps, in terms of the balancing act between front and rear, hatch and four-door, and coupe, as we see with the M2 that Webber's driving.
Just check the lap times there. 131s across the board for the BMW. It does suggest he was saving his tyres.
And speaking of balance,
towards the end.
Swinnerton's angry. Look, he's broken the fastest lap that Webber had off the back of that collision with E-Day and the attempt to get the position back earlier. So he's gained to the back of the pack, if not the bulk of the pack in the midfield now, heading towards the final turn. Wittmann 7th, E-Day still in 8th, but there's the traffic jam behind him. I say traffic jam, it's still just an Italian traffic jam of one. The Fisichella Alpha.
Don't get that in Rome, do you? A traffic jam of one. Tends to be a few more than that, unfortunately.
Especially if the traffic lights have been meddled with. Anyway, turn one once again. Webber.
Butcher is. What was a 128.2 from Butcher there. Far quicker than the two in front.
4 to go.
Just speaking on Swinnerton there, he did drop all the way to the back of the pack after that incident with E-Day and Fisichella.
In some ways it's a good way to drive angry, but I wonder what we'll see, and perhaps what we won't be able to see at the end of this footage is the aftermath. And as I mentioned, we'll try and give you reports of what's going to happen to the grid order for the first race at Blue Moon Bay off the back of that, if any. I don't think there's going to be any level of time penalty assessed for either of the drivers. It did seem, and obviously I do not want to speculate, from my perspective it looked like some act of revenge that had gone awry from Swinnerton, but
certainly some overdriving, you would suggest.
Perhaps,
and here comes Butcher, making advantage of the BMW slow exit. And Butcher to second.
Now, here's the
Oh,
thing.
surely win this from there, surely. It doesn't seem
It'd be
possible.
It'd be great if he did. Now, if Webber was still going to
Absolutely.
maintain the lead, I think Munich would have been very happy. Now that he's dropped this other position, the questions that were asked in race 1 and other rounds are perhaps going to be asked again by the time we end this race. 3 laps to go. If only we had that additional lap that the organiser thought, yep, the race was too long earlier, despite how good it was. Given that we are using the shorter layout, it's a compromise through some level of safety. Not just the fast speed, but I think there was a narrow aspect on the hill section leading up to the 2 rabbits years on the long layout that might have come into consideration there. But all power to the organiser for giving us some fantastic racing, even if it's not going in the favour of BMW right now, or even Alpha off the back of race 1 and their dominating performance, despite the potential threat from Suarez in the second of the...
Yep. Up to the inside.
And into the lead.
Not just yet. The Sirocco's still hanging there.
Butcher defending that one quite well.
Yeah, that's it. That
very close to the tyre wall on the pit entry there. You can see where it's checking out Webber behind him in the mirrors, and once again. But it's not like Webber's giving up. But they have to do better. They're known for being a touring car front runner. How have they got it so wrong?
Up the inside.
Wittmann definitely there.
They didn't quite pull that off, unfortunately.
The light shone so much, I thought that Honda was the second of the Alphas. No, it isn't. That's in 9th behind this pack. Swinnerton still with the fastest lap. 2 to go. The tyres, perhaps, on the leaders or any midfielder with a bit of slipstream may not be getting close. You can see the times on the right-hand side of the screen at the focal point, which is Thompson currently. He's not got close to the 20 since the 7th lap. Perhaps because he's been stuck in this particular traffic jam. Wickens in 5th.
Yeah, Wickens and Thompson up there towards the podium is unfortunately slightly slipping off. But as we believe the front wheel drivers will tend to on this track, going off the first race. It does surprise me that Whitman hasn't been able to overtake Thompson just yet.
Qualified well, I think. Whilst it's not a deliberate penalty, it has hampered them, and there's Ide down the inside of it, man.
Butcher in the lead. Pushy again.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs to be careful, especially if there's any kind of penalty suspended above him.
Certainly points in your license for driving like that in some respects. It's like almost Ide's gone, you can't overtake him, so let me have a go.
In reflection, Ide being the rookie is kind of now doing what Butcher did earlier, in that he's got advantages to take with the few more laps to go. Butcher now going to be pulling away from what it seems second and third on the map. You can just see it faintly in the background as he hit the boot on this particular lap. Webber on the exit.
Definitely reapplied his pace again because he's back to the 29s. I wonder if it really was just to save tyres. I wonder if there was some sort of communication to do so, because it doesn't seem...
Possibly. But why would you gamble that when you are in the lead? You had a potential lead, and this is how far back you've dropped because you've sacrificed to save some tyre for later. Lap to go, and they're still in third, not even close to what is now the effective leader.
I would dare say it's due to the race 1, as we saw. The BMWs were climbing very quickly and then sort of petered out towards the end.
On the inside,
so that's probably what they were working off
on the inside as well.
Oh, come on, give it a go. You've only got a lap to go, boys.
And yeah, it is now clearly different from the race we had earlier, where the Crocodile has sort of split up. You can see that pack further back. This is the outside podium points pay positions, but the podium now, with a half a lap to go, did look close on the map. Maybe it isn't in actual sense. Webber still in third. and it's kind of difficult for the director to know what to do in an instance like this, because that's a good battle. There's a good battle for the higher midfield, but then the lower midfield is also quite promising too for the lower points paying positions. And fingers crossed we're going to see Swinnerton all over the back of that. There he is. Now he's 12th. This is promising. This is a good recovery drive, all things considered, for Swinnerton, as he's got Duma in the privately run BMW all over the back of Suarez as they head to the sweepers. Fisichella in front of that, as well as Butcher. Final turn, Wirtz and Webber have caught up, but I think it's too little too late. And for a second race win, how have we got to this point with only single race winners every single time? Butcher's got his second, Wirtz is second, Webber a happy third, maybe, but I still think BMW are not going to see it that way.
He's on the inside of Thompson.
Ayala fourth, and what a battle there. Whitman eighth.
Oh, Thompson pips him just to the line to get sixth.
Is Swinnerton going to... Oh, Fisichella, Duma, Suarez 10th, Swinnerton 11th. Good recovery, all things considered. Back of the pack across the line, Kobayashi last for a privately run Honda. I suppose they're still happy with the race they had earlier. But there we go. Well, that one was a bit more tense, I suppose. Until we get news that we can relay later, unless we can get some reports coming out of the paddock right now before we end the coverage about where ED is going to stand. I still think, we've just been given the sign there that no penalty was assessed. I don't think it was even looked at. But when we get to Blue Moon Bay for the next one, we will surely let you know before the lights go out in Florida for that one. So before we end the footage and end the coverage there, Christian, how do we feel about that one this time around?
I mean, it's likely that there was some sort of probably monetarily help. I mean, of course, the crash happened due to those two colliding together, so maybe that's how they subverted a penalty.
And even though we perhaps should have mentioned it at the end of race one, a very good day for Alpha.
Absolutely, indeed. A good day for BMW, in all fairness. I mean, the privateer had got themselves nicely up to 11th at one stage, unfortunately dropped back, obviously with Swinney overtaking as well. The Fords, they're going to be looking at this and getting rather worried about their standing in the positioning for the championship, considering they were very far back for both races.
So it's all over here in Italy. We're going to be packing up, and it's going to be another 2 weeks before we hit the sunshine of Blue Moon Bay, one of the larger ovals. But of course, we won't be. Would that it were? How exciting would that be as a touring car event? How dangerous? Yeah, I think the bills are already counting up metaphorically in my head. Obviously, the Roval, no choice but the Roval there, and the twisty infields. But we'll soon see. This is Adrian Michael Rees on behalf of Christy Shepherd. We'll see you in America. Good racing, everyone.